for trailblazing misfits, modern mystics, miracle midwives, bold and shy dreamers, and out-of-the-box believers everywhere. This is for you. Introduction to Manifesting and Alchemy. You belong in the life of your dreams, and you don't belong anywhere else. Tama Kieves. About me. I had arrived in Denver with a broken heart. Some months before, a seemingly chance encounter had brought me into a full-on, soul-to-soul connection with a kindred spirit. That sense of suddenly being at home in another's presence, of having known each other before. It had surprised and delighted me. In an instant, I saw many potential possibilities for a future us. It's something us manifestors are known for. We believe truly anything is possible and often visualize what we want. But in the time since, it became increasingly clear that this yummy possibility would not come to fruition after all. Bereft, I had woken from my fog and realized I wasn't going to get what I wanted here. Not with this guy anyway. Just in time for a scheduled cross-country conference, I carried my heavy-hearted disappointment onto the plane, along with my overloaded suitcase. It might seem like an odd or bold choice to start manifestation work by fully admitting a recent failure, a time I was way off, featuring none other than the one that got away. You'd be absolutely right to think that. And this wouldn't be the first time the words odd or bold would be used to describe me and my choices. I mean, after all, shouldn't I be a glowing example of the perfect life? Every dream realized, every wish fulfilled with nothing left to do but sit on a beach, drinking Mai Tais and counting my money while Mr. Right massages my feet? Well, dear listeners, future manifestors, dream weavers, I have a much more interesting journey to share. In the 23 years since I started actively creating what I wanted, my life has changed so dramatically, I can hardly recognize myself. I am happier, healthier, more prosperous, and more creative, and I love myself more than I ever knew was possible. And along the way, I've also encountered every possible pitfall, wrong turn, and pure delusion that can greet you on this journey. The ego snafus, the things I created I wish I hadn't, the old stories and beliefs that got in the way. And I'm going to share it all, along with steps for recognizing and healing these missteps. We all have them. The creative process is fraught with what can feel like failures. But what's fascinating is the mistakes end up being an essential part of uncovering your best life. Because the last thing that the world needs is a self-help book that ultimately makes people feel bad about themselves. Not happening. Not on my watch. So, back in Denver, I'd finished off the second day of the conference and had an hour free before I met a group for dinner. My hotel room had a comfy, round love seat with an ottoman and velour pillows. I curled up there with a blanket in my laptop, my eyes taking turns between a Netflix stand-up comedy special and the gentle snow blowing past the window. It had been an unusually warm winter in my home state of New Jersey, and I had been craving just this, snow. I glanced at my phone to check the time. 4:30 p.m., 30 minutes until dinner. It seemed like such a mundane act. Checking the time, something I can do 500 times a day, wasn't exactly what one would expect for entrance into a supernatural experience. There were no drums beating, no chanting, no scent of incense in the air, no deities descended into the room, trumpets blaring, sharing profound news. But that's exactly what it ended up being. In my mind, I was transported back in time to 10 years before. I was sitting in my office where I was a counselor in a social service agency. At that point, I had been there for 13 years, which was already 5 years too long. What had once been a dream job had turned into a nightmare. I had grown and evolved past what was conceivable in this setting. My approach to being in service to others had shifted, and I felt stifled, frustrated, and bored. There was no room for me to bring to the job what I was most passionate about. Outside of the office, I was learning everything I could on manifestation, energy, and healing, reading books, meditating, praying, visualizing, tapping, balancing. All that ended at my office door. In the meantime, the job description, CEO, funding, and the company itself had changed, none for the better. But within the ever-widening gap between who I was becoming and where I remained was that darn security with all its plain Jane seduction. Paid vacation and holidays, good benefits, and a guaranteed source of income every 2 weeks, right on time. How could I possibly leave? I looked up at the clock. 4:30 p.m. 30 more minutes. 30 interminable minutes. Every day had become in some ways the same day, and my adventurous spirit was dying. I was either counting down the minutes to freedom or the days until a holiday or a vacation. I spent each lunch hour numbing out to what I affectionately called online travel porn, watching other people visit exotic countries, hike through jungles, share gourmet meals with new friends, essentially living the kind of life I wanted to live. And here I was, staring at the clock, waiting for 5 p.m. and the temporary freedom on the other side of it. Then, in an instant, I snapped back into the present day. My mind, heart, and body became flooded with gratitude and love. Here I was, 4:30 on a Tuesday, curled up in a beautiful room in a lively city I had never been to and always wanted to visit, laughing and savoring the sweetness of it all. Here I was in a hotel filled with loving, kind fellow manifestors, spending my day listening to heart-opening live music and inspirational talks, my travel paid for. On an ordinary Tuesday. Can you believe it? Here I was, counting down the minutes to join sweet friends for a farm-to-table dinner, where we would share deep appreciation for one another in a way that brought tears to my eyes. One would mention a particularly valuable quality he felt I brought to our team's efforts, and I was awakened by it. Here, I learned something new about myself. Here I was, in a career I cherished, helping others in the ways I know truly work, and sharing the good news of that to anyone who would listen. Speaking, traveling, teaching, and sharing healing on stages, on podcasts, and in interviews. Here I was, living the life I'd always wanted to live. This was it. I was and am here. If I had had a selfie stick and captured this, I have to tell you the scene would have not appeared Instagram-worthy. No beach, no Mr. Right, no size 6, and honestly, the lighting in the room was just terrible. There wasn't even a fan to give me that sexy, blowing hair look. And remember, there were no mystical lights or signs. But I was exactly where I had always wanted to be. No time clock to punch. No waiting for the interminable minutes to tick by, rescuing me from my miserable reality. No numbing out to images of others' lives. My temporary heartache had had me distracted, focusing my mind and energy on the one thing in my life that wasn't working yet. Perhaps that sounds familiar. Have you ever had a paper cut? Those painful little suckers will force your attention on lockdown. Here, 99.9999% of your body is just fine, And you keep thinking about that paper cut. Why doesn't the company just go paperless already? And this wouldn't have happened if they had lotion in the restrooms. And I really should be drinking more water or my skin wouldn't be this dry. And how come nobody seems to be able to create a softer paper? And man, this really hurts. And. You could stay trapped in that loop forever. To be normal is the ideal aim of the unsuccessful. Carl Jung. There is no greater thing you can do with your life and your work than follow your passions in a way that serves the world and you. Sir Richard Branson. A divine intervention generously cut through my despair and reminded me of what I had lost sight of. I have created, and will continue creating, the life I've always wanted. And I've done that using the very principles, practices, and skills I am sharing here. All in a no-nonsense, no BS, no squeaky, shiny image kind of way. Becoming a manifester meant becoming more of my true self, with all my edges, weirdness, and ultra-realness coming into hyper-focus. I'll leave the Kardashians and the rest of the influencers to their sole purposes. They know what they're doing. Mine looks different, and so does yours. Yes, you can create the beach, the money, a tight butt, and a beautiful love relationship, or anything else you want as well. Not overnight. Although some manifestations happen quite quickly, growth is a process, and you will be growing. Not all at once. There's always something to work on. And your ideal life may indeed look insta-picture perfect, or it may look like ordinary on steroids, or it may seem to the outside world like a funhouse mirror strapped to roller skates on a Ferris wheel, but it will make sense to you. It just might look like something you could never have expected at all. What I can guarantee is that adventure awaits. You were born with a sacred mission. We all know this intuitively. We are most in touch with this knowing when we've lost sight of it. We're feeling unsatisfied and unfulfilled. We realize 1, 5, or 40 years have passed and we still haven't, fill in the blank, gone to China, written that book, paid off the debt, learned to sail. Within that discontent is your ticket out of it. Allow it to move you forward, to take a chance, to take a risk that you are more than what you think you are, and that you're capable of more than you know right now. And that maybe, just maybe, you can have more than you've dreamed possible. And that there is a power in the universe supporting you every single step of the way. Our goals realized bring the amenities of life. The bonuses, the extras, the gifts. The empty hotel hot tub, the delivery of fragrant flowers, room service at the perfect time. They come from saying yes to your mission to be who you came to this planet to be. But what you let go of on the path to the goals, the misguided ideas about yourself, the painful memories and ill-fitting cultural conditioning, that's the good stuff. You get it. You really get it. You're worthy of more. And you, with all the things you don't like about yourself, will realize you are unconditionally loved and supported by a power greater than yourself. Exactly as you are right now. And I'm not just referring to the metaphorical you authors use. I'm actually talking about you. Do you know how I know that? How can I say that when we've likely never met? Because we all are. Those inner longings to love and be loved, to express, to create, to achieve, to wake up and feel better already, are calling you forward into more. May this audiobook be a friendly companion and guide to support that process. Manifesting is alchemy. turn the lead of your life into gold. There is nothing more important than developing your imagination to transform your life from the inside world of your thoughts and feelings to the outside world of your results and manifestations. Neville Goddard. Everything that exists is in a manner the seed of that which will be. Marcus Aurelius. There is a reason why you've chosen to listen to this audiobook. Everything, every choice has a reason. There's something or some things that you feel you're missing. Or you've been stuck and nothing is moving forward. Or there's a still small voice inside that whispers, "There's more to life than this. There's got to be." Maybe you've been struggling financially. Perhaps this struggle feels eternal, like it's always been there, or possibly recent events have turned your once solid financial world upside down. What about love? Do you have a heart longing to be ensconced in the arms of a happy partnership? Have other attempts at true love simply missed the mark? Or your health and vitality are lagging, and the aging process is unmercifully speeding up. There's only so many supplements a person can take. And then there's career and accomplishment. Do you grow numb the second you get to the office? For once, can you just get into a line of work where you thrive already? Normally, we approach these changes from the outside, trying to make different choices out there to create a change of state in here. You get a Costco membership and cancel cable to save money, hoping that will give you a greater sense of security. Or you download the latest dating app. Maybe this pool of people will connect you to the one. You find an exercise video on YouTube and get cracking on improving your health, or hire a career counselor to offer direction. In and of themselves, these could all be worthwhile choices, but we are going to leave the action steps for later. First, we start with creating change from the inside out. You're entering a journey where you will consciously create what you want to do, be, and have. You're soon to become an alchemist. That's what the act of manifesting is all about. The alchemists of old spent lifetimes on the pursuit of turning the material of lead into gold. They didn't hop on a horse or a camel or wander aimlessly in the forest or desert looking for gold. They took what they had and transformed it. And once you've embraced the alchemical principles and practices, you'll realize that you are a powerful creator, and it didn't take a lifetime to become one. Let's get started. Why take a chance on manifesting? We are far larger, more daring, and more creative than we imagine. Julia Cameron. I'm asking you to take a giant leap of faith here. I'm asking you to believe that you're capable of having, being, and doing more. And I'm asking you at the same time to love yourself and your life right now as they are. I'm asking you to open to what for me was a radical concept, that creating a succulent and satisfying life can be fun, simple, and exciting. I know full well you will come face to face with a few limiting beliefs, old memories, and people to forgive. And that isn't the fun part. But on the other side of letting the past go is the buoyancy we all crave, to flow with the rhythms of life instead of sinking. And I don't approach any of this lightly. Settling. Our deepest longings are vulnerable parts of ourselves. Maybe when you were growing up, your needs and desires weren't met, or were ignored, or even shunned. Maybe you experienced a disappointment with a heartbreak or other loss. Those longings got buried under settling. Settling for what is, what's easy, what's around. But those desires are still within you, awaiting your attention. Here's what I've learned about settling. As a former safe player, settling was always appealing to me. Just accept what is, Kris. This job, love, opportunity may not be what you really wanted, but at least it's here now, available, being offered. Be grateful already. Who are you to expect more? And then a most unsettling thing would happen each time I settled. The yeses, the check boxes, the good parts about what I had settled for would change. The seemingly loyal but selfish boyfriend mocked me to a mutual friend. The job's great benefits became less great, then not so good, then non-existent. I would observe helplessly as what met a few of my needs was slowly eroded. You always end up settling for less than what you originally planned for. I'm going to say this. Take a chance on more. Take a chance that there is a benevolent force for good in the universe and you can work with it. Take the risk. You are worth it. And if you're still asking why you should bother, here are points to consider. The status quo is overrated. To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people just exist. Oscar Wilde. The status quo is the current nature of existing states of your life, as it is right now. You can be grateful for all that you have now, and I encourage this. It doesn't mean you can't also desire more. Status quo equals the same. The same equals safe. Safe equals boring. Safe equals unfulfilling. Safe equals potential passing you by. Safe equals believing you don't deserve more. No matter who you are, no matter what life looks like for you, I'm happy to share that there is more available. Every single person who ever advanced civilization forward, whether that was in the areas of entertainment, arts, politics, social justice, science, technology, economics, philosophy, agriculture, and more, was someone who decided there could be another way. There could be a better way. You can be that kind of person as well. Do you want to advance the very nature of life, or accept what's unconsciously been created so far? You have that chance right now. Being open feels better than being closed. This says it all. Being closed is like living inside of a cage. Each time you're presented with a new possibility, you run headfirst into the bars. Ouch! Openness feels light, soft, and free. And don't we all want to feel that? Even when what's possible feels outside your current comfort zone, the other side of fear is excitement. That excitement can carry you forward to big ideas. Those big ideas then become big manifestations. Changing yourself creates change for others. Dwell in possibility. Emily Dickinson. As you change, as your life changes, your very essence or energy field changes into one of potent potentiality. Without saying a word, you become a living embodiment of prosperity, health, vitality, love, and you bring yourself wherever you go. This creates shifts in the collective consciousness. Want to change the world? Changing yourself creates change in the field, affecting everyone. When enough people live from this place, radical positive change will occur across the globe. Closer to home, the relationships with the people in your immediate circle begin to shift. Empowered people empower others. Changed people know change isn't only possible, it's actually quite doable. And transformed people know how to transform life as we know it, creating good for everyone else, not just themselves. As long as you're living, you might as well be growing. Actually, your soul is here to grow, and even attempting to keep anything the same won't work. The universe is always in a state of expansion. Have you ever watched an old movie, like, say, from the 50s? I like to do this every now and again because it's an example of the prevailing technology, beliefs, culture, and yes, consciousness of the time. In 1998, when director Gus Van Sant decided to create a shot-by-shot remake of the classic Hitchcock film Psycho, I knew it wouldn't work. Life had changed dramatically since the original was released. The results were a stiff, stilted, and not scary facsimile. It tried to recreate a product of that time and space. Going backward never produces anything meaningful. It moves against the forward flow of energy. So if you're here to grow, then why not grow consciously? If you don't, you may be faced with situations where growth feels forced upon you. You are always working with universal laws, whether you want to or not. Choosing to work with them creates a supportive collaboration. Yes, you can get more stuff, and that feels good. This is likely why you're here, why you're listening to this audiobook. There are things you want that you don't now have. A new computer, money for a vacation, a job you love, a love you'd love. Attracting these items into your life is a very good thing. How happy you are is the only success quotient there is. A new computer will make almost every project in your life easier. A vacation offers relaxation, fun, a much-needed break, which boosts health and mood. You spend many hours each week at your job. How joyous will that feel when your vocation is an ideal fit? A love helps you experience the universe's love in human form. Everything you want is because of how it will make you feel. Having what you want feels good. People who feel good often do good. Trust in the universe. Without leaps of imagination or dreaming, we lose the excitement of possibilities. Dreaming, after all, is a form of planning. Gloria Steinem. The more you believe it, the more it starts to become real for you. This is why it's so very important to believe in positive things rather than negative things. Whatever you believe, you will find that you are correct. The universe has a way of presenting to you exactly what you believe. If you think life is great, you are correct. If you think life is tough, you will be proved correct too. Anita Morjani. I haven't met a person whose life didn't contain some level of disappointment. When that happens, we can lack trust in life and ourselves. Manifesting helps develop a rock-solid trust. Trust in yourself to create a better, more enjoyable, more meaningful life. Then you develop trust in the higher power of your own understanding. To learn that there is this source of all that is or could ever be, and it's here for you, listening and providing for you. That changes everything. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was 27 years old and taking a workshop to change unconscious beliefs. We learned and worked with affirmations, visualizations, and self-hypnosis. Even though I had been on a spiritual journey since I was a young child, my life at this point was not working well for me. I was currently unemployed and I had grown cynical. Well, cynical and even more desperate. The desperation overrode my pessimism long enough to find practices to change my life. In this workshop, while doing a guided visualization, I became aware of this feeling in my chest. It was both completely new to me and somehow entirely familiar. This tender, sweet, encompassing warmth spread throughout my body, bringing a profound realization. I began to cry. I knew I was loved. Me? Me. I couldn't believe it. Me with all my insecurities, mistakes, and fears. Me for whom nothing ever seemed to work out. Me who felt like the forever oddball, the black sheep, the one least likely to succeed. An instantaneous shift happened that changed me forever. Brain cells were reorganized. Everything up until that moment stopped. I knew. The universe was real. Like, really real. It was a true revelation. An odd confession, I realize, from a person who was grasping at any possible spiritual solution available. But until then, the universe was just a concept, a set of ideas, a mental construct based on all I had been exposed to and then explored. Those explorations were based on other people's experiences of a higher power, not my own. This force was something I hoped existed, but in all honesty, I didn't know that it did. I hadn't even admitted that to myself until that moment in time. And I have witnessed so often in the lives of many how the difference between sickness and health, addiction and sobriety, lack and abundance is exactly this. That inner realization, revelation, spiritual truth that each of us is indeed loved. We are never alone. Finding this, in your own time and way, is worth the time, the energy, and yes, the risks. On your manifesting journey, it begins with developing that highly personal communication with a force that responds. You work with the language of words, feelings, mental images, and actions. You are communicating who you are and what you want. Asking for guidance, reading signs, and receiving intuitive information is how the universe speaks back. From this, you develop the most important relationship you can ever have. It's both the one with your truest self and the higher power of all that is. You will uncover that they are one in the same. Can you create what you desire? Just remember, life is all an illusion. It's your creation, and you can dismantle it and recreate at will. Nanette Matthews. Everything that exists was once just an idea. The roads you drive on, the dwelling in which you live, that movie from last night. The evolution of species are ideas of adaptation born within. This very guide started as an idea that eventually was then given to me to create. The idea of this guide's inception met my ideas. These ideas coupled up with my experience, expertise, and wisdom. They met all that I had learned from so many others. Then they met action, the very writing and editing. What's written will go to people, and where once there was nothing, now there is this hopeful tome. Everything visible was once invisible. The creative process is the story of life, every aspect of life. Single-cell organisms eventually become the complexity that is us. Within us all are the seeds of our beginnings, the promise of those single cells. Within you are seeds of ideas awaiting to burst open with their potential. They already have their perfectly encoded blueprints within them. They just need to be planted in fertile soil and given water and sun. This audiobook will help you get clear about the seeds of your ideas and desires, then give you attitudes, principles, and practices to create nourishing conditions in which they come to life. First, I must ask, what's believable to you? I ask myself this all the time. For example, do I believe a 90-year-old woman can become an astronaut? I honestly don't. But why is that? Is it based on dated ideas I have about aging, gender, or even NASA? Right now, there are women in their 90s who are writing novels, leading businesses, teaching yoga, and performing in films. Why can't they go to space? Being a manifester means stretching beyond what you have believed is possible for yourself. And that can mean changing what you believe is possible, period. My astronaut belief above won't garner my time and attention in changing it, because I'm not a 90-year-old woman who wants to go to space. But there are plenty of others I have changed because they affected my ability to create what I want. Life forms to our beliefs about it. Quick Bit Alchemy List. 5 powerful ways to start your day. 1. Wake up your energy. Rub under both sides of your collarbone on the upper chest, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth for about 2 minutes. 2. Jump up and down with your hands high in the air, smiling and exclaiming, "Yes, yes, yes." 3. Drink warm water with fresh lemon juice while affirming your health and vitality. Livers need decluttering too. 4. Sing along to inspirational music. 5. Read passages from sacred or motivational sources. Quick Bit Alchemy Lists. 21 amazing manifestors who inspire me. 1. Bruce Springsteen. 2. Catherine Ponder. 3. The Dalai Lama. 4. Danielle Laporte. 5. David Bowie. 6. Deepak Chopra. 7. Gary Craig. 8. Greg Braden. 9. Henry David Thoreau. 10. St. Hildegard of Bingen. 11. Dr. Joe Dispenza. 12. Kate Sessions. 13. Oprah Winfrey. 14. Marianne Williamson. 15. Myrtle and Charles Fillmore. 16. Napoleon Hill. 17. Nikola Tesla. 18. Ralph Waldo Emerson. 19. Saint Padre Pio. 20. Salvador Dali. 21. Wayne Dyer. We are here to grow. We must be willing to let go of the life we planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us. Joseph Campbell. What is now proved was once only imagined. William Blake. Why are we here? This is a question I don't believe everyone asks themselves, not once in an entire lifetime. There are people who are content to be born, grow up, get a job, have a family, and retire without ever asking, why me? Why was I born? What am I doing here? That's a perfectly fine way to make a go of life. There are times I still wish I had been one of those people. Like when I'm hectic with a deadline looming and I look over at my napping cat Ling. Forever zen, she opens her sleepy eyes, yawns, glances my way, and the look is always the same. What's wrong now? She doesn't get it. The existential crises, the tightrope walks over rocky terrain. She lives in acceptance and rhythm. All is right in her world every single day. The animals have it all figured out. Me, not so much. I chide myself. Why, oh why? Why can't this be me? I could drop out of life right now and go scrub floors in an ashram. The voice of my overwhelm always offers solutions that include 1. Leaving my entire life behind for 2. Some kind of obedient spiritual job in the middle of nowhere. Pulling potatoes in a monastery garden. Being chief dishwasher in a convent. and I detest doing dishes. Can you imagine how desperate I would feel to consider such a thing? And if I shared those ideas with anyone who knows me, I'd be confronted with a mixture of shock and hilarity. Because I will never be a simple life kind of gal. I'd last mere minutes before tearing off my robes, throwing them in the wood-burning stove and yelling, "I'm out of here," while stomping out in those hideously functional boots. This would likely occur during a time of silence. Thankfully, I wasn't born to adopt anyone else's idea of who I am and what an ideal spiritual life looks like. And you weren't either. Manifesting at its best is becoming more and more of yourself, even in ways that can astonish you. When I'm not seeking escape, I'm positively thrilled my calling has been to unleash my inner conscious co-creator, a miracle receiver, and mischievous manifester. After all, I was born ruminating on the big questions. As a young child, I remember seeing a copy of National Geographic. It contained spectacular photos of the Milky Way. I remember thinking, who are we? And why are we here? Feel a bit of compassion for my poor parents. They didn't quite know what to do with me. Thank God I received a fervent curiosity for finding answers to go along with those deep questions. On the power days, the bold and beautiful days when everything is flowing my way, I sneer, "Guess what, status quo? You can bite me. I didn't come here to follow the crowd. I'm advancing civilization forward, and you're welcome." I don't believe we are just clumps of clustered cells with a heartbeat. I know with certainty we are not the blabbering nonsense of our monkey minds. That's a relief. There were times I thought I was my crippling anxiety and fears. Gotta watch out for those. They're very convincing. But within me, there has always been a deeper knowing. I didn't learn it from my parents, school, or church. It's always been there, a soft assurance, a whisper of more. Imagine a compass, a lighthouse, a movable manifesto written in poetry and song, all calling me forward, beckoning me to look beyond what I see with my eyes. It's been there all along. When I ask why I'm here at this time, at this place, in a body, doing what I do, the best answers are obvious. And they start with more specific questions. What gives me joy? Lifelong learning, creative projects realized, dancing. What unleashes a zeal and passion within me for living? Healing, belief in possibilities, travel. What gets me up in the morning? My vocation, desire to help, time with people I love. Conversely, when I'm dragging myself out of bed, what's the problem? Exhaustion, overscheduling, feeling misunderstood. What qualities in others make me light up? Openness, depth, trustworthiness. When do I experience something greater than myself? In prayer, nature, and the beauty of art, music, and design. Because that's what makes life juicy and satisfying for me. Love, purpose, service, expansion, humor, connection, empowerment, peace, beauty. These qualities may be similar for you, and at the same time, your examples may appear completely unique. Your vocation, or the one you're seeking to create, will reflect your soul's purpose, not mine. Your awe-inspiring nature experiences may be near the ocean, while mine are in the mountains. And nature is our value. If I could poll 1 million people with these same questions, I can guarantee the answers would fall in the categories above. This would be regardless of country, culture, beliefs, or religion. because they are universal truths inherent within all life. We can never be separated from them, and none of these qualities can be identified in a blood test. Your doctor will never say, "I'm sorry, but your tests indicate you are dangerously low on joy." And quite frankly, I'd welcome a day when doctors can share spiritual concerns such as this. Because as I shared, we are more than just a clump of cells. And what can bring us to the doctor's office, or bankruptcy court for that matter, can have a great deal to do with spiritual deficits. And if those deficits aren't addressed by your doctor or lawyer, their solutions for you may be temporary. Spiritual principles and practices are the perfect accompaniment to everything you're doing to heal and feel and live better. And until your doctor and lawyer are trained on these matters, it's time for you to step up and be your own spiritual teacher. You can become so effective at manifesting a happy, healthy life, you may not need them so much anymore anyway. Manifesting reflection. Questions on purpose. 1. Why do you believe you are here? 2. What gives you joy? 3. You wake up one day filled with excitement. You can't wait for this day to begin. What's happening? 4. What qualities make the people in your life special to you? 5. What gives all life meaning? 6. What gives your life meaning? 7. How would you feel if your life had more meaning now? 8. Describe the experience that left you the most inspired. 9. List 3 people you consider to be heroes. These can be entertainers, celebrities, politicians, philanthropists, or historical figures. Under each, describe why they are heroes to you. What qualities did or do they possess? Within these answers, you've collected valuable information that will help you craft a vision for a more inspired, meaningful life. As you continue listening, exploring, and practicing the exercises that follow, keep this information in mind. Think of it as the big picture, and you're filling it in with the weather, terrain, people, and objects you'd like to be in it.